According to my gamer profile, immersion is by far the most important motivation for me, with a percentile of 86. This means that I scored higher than 86% of gamers. Quantic Foundry claims that gamers with high immersion scores want games with interesting narratives, characters, and settings, so they can be deeply immersed in alternate worlds. I also scored very high on both of the secondary motivations, which are fantasy and story. This means I want to be immersed in a believable alternate world and also experience elaborate storylines with unique characters. I think all of this applies to Persona 5 Royal. It's a role-playing game with lots of memorable characters and a spectacular story. It also has a carefully crafted depiction of Tokyo that is both believable and beautiful. This is a huge game that takes 100 hours to beat, so in this video I'll just focus on the city. Persona 5 Royal has a very distinct art style. It's the first thing that sets this game apart from others. The game takes place in Tokyo, Japan. The city of Tokyo is built with an amazing amount of attention to detail. All of the locations feel lived in. The city simply feels alive. There are lots of locations the player can visit, and they are connected with a subway system. This subway system is how fast travel works in this game. Even the metro station is designed with an extreme level of detail. It is almost identical to the real-life Shibuya station in Tokyo. There are signs that show the locations of different metro lines and working ticket gates. The player can even board the train and ride it. There are special fast travel animations when using the metro. These animations look amazing and do a great job at hiding the loading screens. All these little details create a strong sense of immersion. Yongen-Jaya is one of the quieter locations in the city. The residence of the protagonist is also located in this neighborhood. Elderly people have a higher population density in Yongen-Jaya. This makes it a slow and peaceful place. It's a stark contrast to the city center. The city center is obviously much noisier and more crowded. For a game world to be considered immersive, good visuals aren't enough. In Persona 5 Royal, the city isn't just beautiful, it's also very interactive. The player can buy drinks from vending machines that can be found all around the place. There are also a great variety of supermarkets, shops, restaurants, movie theaters, bars, and arcades. The interior designs of these locations are also amazing. They are filled with little details, and most of them even have unique songs that play in the background. There are lots of things to do and countless ways of spending time in the city. Some of the more important locations, such as the Airsoft weapon shop, even have uniquely designed user interfaces. The fonts and colors are picked carefully to fit the atmosphere of the location. The user interface is also accompanied by amazing animations. Spending time in places such as restaurants is very immersive, but it also has a gameplay benefit. This is a role-playing game after all. For example, the player can raise their knowledge stat by studying in a cafe. The player can also take on the challenge of eating a giant burger at a fast food restaurant, which raises the courage stat. The atmosphere of the city changes drastically at night. The streets are filled with the glow of neon signs. The bars are opened. While walking around in the streets of Tokyo, the player can overhear conversations of other pedestrians. These conversations aren't just random chatter, they are usually related to the events of the main story. For example, an election is going to happen towards the end of the game. As the date of this election draws closer, the player will come across more and more people talking about it. This is yet another factor that makes this game immersive. The NPCs are aware of what's going on around them, and their behavior changes over time in accordance to the important events in the story. With such a carefully crafted world, Persona 5 Royal is a very immersive game. While playing this game, I completely forget about the real world and lose myself in the game. Since I am motivated by immersion more than anything else, this is very important for me. It's not a coincidence that I like this game so much. It fits my gamer motivation profile perfectly. Creativity is my third biggest motivation, and I scored higher on design than I did on discovery. According to Quantic Foundry, gamers who score high on design are likely to spend a lot of time designing their cities in city building games. I think this is the main reason why I enjoyed building settlements in Fallout 4. It's an optional part of the game, but I did it anyways because I found it enjoyable. I don't have the most impressive settlement out there, but I still had fun while building it. So this is my settlement. It's the first location at Sanctuary Hills, and I got this big wall that covers the entire place. So here are my traps. They are right next to the bridge because the bridge is the only way inside this island. So that's where the raiders are going to come from. So that's why I added these traps. And I also have some guard posts, as you can see, one of them right here. And it's also connected to the wall. So here are my turrets. I face them towards the bridge because it's the main entrance into the island. So I also try to decorate this place a little bit by adding these flags and also put the Sanctuary Hills text on the wall. And this wall covers the entire settlement. It goes all the way around, and that took a lot of work. So here's the gate. It's the entrance to the settlement. And I don't have that much stuff in here, but the first thing is this little place right here I built for the settlers. It's got this nice lounge area with this radio, but it's mostly for the beds, and as you can see, this is where the settlers sleep. And this is the farm area. As you can see, the settlers are hard at work on the crops in here. And so yeah, the more people you have, the more food you need. And as you can see, the wall still keeps on going. As I said before, it covers the entire island. So yeah, that took lots of resources to build. I didn't use mods. So here is one of my unfinished projects. I couldn't have enough resources to build this. I had some ideas for it, but as you can see, it's currently unfinished. I got these signs on the wall, but it's mostly a work in progress. So you can still see the wall, it's still going. And the next place I want to show is this little place I built for storage purposes because I had lots of items that I needed to organize. And as you can see, there are some items on the ground, so it's not that well organized, but still. And there's ammo, guns and armor. And as you can see, I put my extra stuff in these cabinets. So there's a carry limit. You can't carry everything on your character, and that's why I built this place. The next place is actually the biggest building in the entire settlement. First up, this switch right here, it closes the door and opens it. As you can see, it also turns on the lights on the top in the second floor. And this is also not finished. As you can see, there are stairs and also an elevator. Let's take the elevator to the second floor. And this is where I store my power armors. And there's also a terminal. So the terminal is connected to the lights. You can change the colors of the lights in here. You can set a single color or just randomize the colors. We just did that. The colors are going to be randomized. And let me show you the third floor. This floor is not finished. As you can see, it's not complete, but it has a great view of the entire settlement since it's high up. And now let's take a look at how the lights are looking. As you can see, the lights are now randomized because we set it in the terminal, so the game gives you lots of opportunities to make everything the way you want them to be. And this is basically the heart of the settlement because the workshop is here, and I also have some workbenches and stuff. I also tried to decorate the interior of this house. As you can see, I put up this radio, this TV, and also these chairs for the settlers to sit, and they are doing just that right now. They're just relaxing. And yeah, I try to decorate the place up a bit, even though the TV and the radio don't do much. And here are some bobbleheads and some magazines. So I want to make it a realistic and believable place. I want to make it feel like people are actually living there. And you can completely ignore this part of the game. Building settlements is not necessary, and most Fallout fans actually hated it and just ignored it. But since my design score is above average, I actually enjoyed working on the settlement. I spent lots of resources and lots of time working on it. But for people who don't score high on design, I think they will just see this as a waste of time.